Camera speeds, quiet on set. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Yippee. Okay. Could you start by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your experiences with HCA?
So my name is Matthew Organ. I am the Div 2-3 science teacher, the Div 1 math teacher, and any ancillary duties that may pop up during my time here.
Okay. What was it that drew you to Harpswell Coastal Academy?
So I had previously worked at an outdoor education place where the kind of vibe was very similar to HCA in that like it was very choice based, very open for flexibility and for students that might not have done particularly well in a normal school setting. So unfortunately when COVID happened, that job went away because nobody's taking field trips during the middle of the pandemic. So I was kind of looking to get back into that sort of realm, and this place presented itself. And before even like setting foot in here, you could kind of tell that they follow the same sort of like pillars, if that makes sense.
What was your first impression of the faculty at HCA?
Fantastic. It was great. I'm trying to remember. First experience was walking into faculty camp in June or in August, and I'm the only one in a button-down shirt, and everybody else is in shorts and like Birkenstocks and tank tops, and I'm like, okay, I have miscalculated what I need to be wearing. And that was the first impression. Like, we're all very like, everybody was like, hey, how's it going, blah blah blah. So it was close knit, and then also like relaxed to the point where we care about the important things, but the less important things we have some flexibility on.
How has this perception of the faculty changed over the course of your time here?
That's a good question. Let's see. Let's run through it. I don't think it changed that much. I'm usually pretty good at reading people. And from the get-go, like, everybody pretty much is exactly who I anticipated them to be. Like, Gagnon was Gagnon the first day I met him. CCF, also the same. We're just like a lot closer now because like at the beginning of the year they were trying to integrate like this 80% new staff into this building, and I think now 5 months in we have kind of hit our stride in that respect.
What was that like for you coming into like a new group with so many other new hires? Like what was that like a culture?
So it was like, that was a question I had asked MCF when, like, either just before showing up for faculty camp or right after the interview. And she had told me like a dozen new staff members. And I was like, I remember immediately being like, oh, then it does not matter, right? Like, I'm not the only one walking into 20 people of like staff that's worked for a decade, because if I showed up a year prior, that might have been the case. And so it was definitely interesting, but like gave me a certain sense of comfort that I was not the only one showing up completely blind to school.
What was your first impression of the students at HCA?
They are who I envisioned would be here and why I came here, right? So marginalized groups for whatever reason, and providing those groups with the opportunity to have somebody that might not be marginalizing them. So it was very evident when the first time I came here that everybody was here for a very particular reason. Like, I think maybe a handful of students were actually local Harpswell kids that did not go elsewhere first and then decide to come here. So I think it's important that this school exists and we provide this, not so much service, but this like support for these students that might have not gotten that same support in regular school.
Cool. Has this perspective changed over time?
No. They like me more now, I think.
Okay. Just for editor's sake, can we just get you saying the students at HCA are?
We're still rolling. Just keep going. The students at HCA are. Yeah.
That's all right. It'll work. Okay. What is your day-to-day life at HCA?
What is my day to day, or like what is generally HCA day to day like?
What is yours like?
So mine is kind of a whirlwind. Usually we're having kids show up. Everybody, good morning. How you doing? Where are you supposed to be? We do grit. Then immediately into teaching science, then to teaching math. Break for lunch. Teach science for the rest of the day and call it quits.
How do you feel about that?
I think it is nice that we get the students for a full hour, because remember, I'm coming from a public school where periods might be 40 minutes. So that extra 20 minutes, even though we meet not every day, that extra 20 minutes, like as far as attention and like being able to complete a full cycle of a point or lesson, is really good. Where it becomes a struggle is if we're not able to keep that. Yeah, go for it.
I think that maybe, of all people, not be going
You're fine. The people you're yelling at.
Okay.
You want to go back? Just remind me what I was answering.
What was your
Day-to-day.
How do you feel about your?
How do I feel about so it's good that the hour provides this opportunity to like complete a full cycle of a lesson, but also like if you're struggling to keep the attention of students, or like from the students' perspective, if the students are struggling to keep their attention on the lesson, that extra 20 minutes then becomes like almost detrimental, because now you're like trying to hold on to them as they're fluttering away, because in their mind it's already passing time.
How do you think the students' attention detriments of the longer class periods has affected your teaching?
It's definitely materialized in a slower start, right? So I know.
Sorry, guys.
Every time that happens, I'm gonna lose my train. So just give me your last 5 words that you used.
How does the shorter class period affect how you teach?
Oh, okay, gotcha. So longer class periods will usually materialize in a slower start, so that I can at least have everybody attentive at the beginning of the class and get my 20 to 30 minutes of actual instruction out of the way. So they're at least attentive for that, and then we can worry about losing the attention when we're working on assignments or a project or something like that, which is more manageable than the reverse, where you never get their attention and then you try and grab it at the end just to be like, oh, before you walk out the door, I need to talk about this. What's
Oh my goodness.
Who is it?
The offs. Very cool.
You're a lefty?
Yes.
That's good. Good. Put that on the wall while I'm doing my interview.
I'm kind of ambidextrous, but not really.
I was about to say, it looks like you're writing that with your non-dominant hand. Yeah, you are not a lefty.
I am a lefty.
No
It's
way.
really weird.
It looks so much better.
What do you mean it looks better?
All right, you got worse at the end, but yeah, the top looks better.
What are you referring to? Okay. All right.
Okay, anyway.
Stop contesting me on my left-handedness.
Okay, I think we've
Looking at the attention.
Time constraints. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
I would argue that we've completed that question now twice, so I think you're good to move on.
Do you have any favorite memories from your time at HCA?
Oh, yes. Yes. There was one morning we had like 2 corgis and a Larsos running up and down the hall. That was very cool. But as far as students go, the first week we were here, we did this game called Help Rope, where, like, as you're watching this, HCA students, you might remember how frustrated you were when you're all holding onto a rope around a circle, your eyes are shut, can't talk, can't do anything, and you're trying to get off the rope. And basically, I give you every rule I can think of to make you unable to do it without asking for help. And like, if it persists for 20 minutes and people are still stuck, it gets a little funny and goofy. And so that was like one of my first experiences, and also a good one that I have here.
I just like the little student note. Lickfeld seemed like more of the asshole during that thing than you did.
He actually facilitated that. I was not gonna do it with you guys, and he then was like, "No, you told me about it. It sounded funny. Let's do it. Let's."
How did we get out of that? Because I totally forgot.
You just had to raise your hand
And ask for help.
I was the only one that could get you off.
I remember that.
You guys had to, like, they're trying to climb in the circle, break the circle, untie my rope.
I raised my hand like 3 times, and you didn't like do anything. So I was like, I have a question or something like that, or.
Well, so like that, if you let me finish the instructions, we get rid of that by saying if you have a question, say questions. So when you're raising your hand, I know you're asking for help. So that's why I'm like, stop.
I swear to God, I raised my hand.
We can put it on the record. Alexa won Help Rope 6 months ago. Put it on the record.
Okay.
You want to talk a little bit more about the dogs and what do you think they mean to the community? Because I don't think anybody's talked about them yet.
Oh, really? Oh, the dogs. They're like half the reason I come here. No. So I'll do a quick inventory. We have Arwen Gagnon's dog, Corgi. Jesse, the CF's dog, Corgi. Java, Miss Davis's dog, Corgi. And now Bankston's dog, Larsos, has a little sister or brother that's on the way. So those are our 5 main dogs. There might have been other dog visits throughout the year, but I mean, teachers, students, visitors, anybody, you can tell it is just a breath of fresh air when they get to walk into a school and see a dog roaming around. It provides an opportunity for students to take a break that need a break. It provides like grounding for people that need to just be in the moment for a second. Like, why don't you go pet Jesse or whatever dog? Go pet that dog and just focus for a second, as opposed to like spiraling out of control. This provides a nice tool to use, as bad as it is to use the dogs as a tool. But in the context of school, that's what they are. Part of the family, part of the school, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. I can keep rolling for another 3 minutes. Gagnon, can you go grab the SD card from yesterday? Make sure it's ejected. Okay, so. When you first heard, make sure you include the phrase like, when I first heard that HCA was closing. Blah, blah,
Gotcha.
When you first heard that HCA was closing, how did you feel? What was your first thought?
So when I first heard that HCA was closing, I think the first initial thought was, doesn't make any sense. Like, and most of us watched the happenings happen live, and it just looked like a mess from the beginning. It was almost very clear that there was predetermined outcomes. But anyway, the first thought when it comes to like the school community and the people that I know was that like I was concerned for some of the students, because I know for a fact that they left previous schools for a reason, right? Like either they were bullied or something happened, they weren't getting the services they need, and they came to HCA as a vessel for them to get the things that they felt like they were missing from regular school, and then to have the audacity to vote and vote to say, we're going to take these marginalized students, these marginalized kids that have found their home in HCA, and we're going to close that place and then force them back into the schools that marginalized them. It didn't seem effective or smart, or it seemed like some other motive besides reason was happening.
Okay. What was it like for you hearing about this closure and knowing that you had just gotten this new job and then immediately taken away from you?
So I think my concern was like immediately for the kids as opposed to like me, because I know I could do other things, right? My education is for the most part complete, but like being a new person, it just like to watch the end, it was like weird because it didn't seem like a dying place in the beginning of the year, and then it like we got this vote and now they turned us into this place, you know.
I need to cut.
Cut.